Hello. So, one of the best ways to clickbait, if you want to get the chat filled with ADHD people, is it ADHD? No, hold on, it's not ADHD. It's like the obsessive compulsive disorder. Is to write something which is inaccurate. So, for example, today is Saturday and you say Sunday. And there's going to be people that go out of their way to correct you. I have people DMing me. I have people going on my Twitter to tell me, no, see, you were wrong. It's not Sunday. It is Saturday. First of all, I wonder if they actually checked to see where I'm at, to see the time zone and stuff. And then I'm also curious whether or not they know the meme. Because there is this meme with Nancy Pelosi going on and saying, good morning, Sunday morning. So that was a thing. All right. I got a Australian viewer here, which is the first. I see. I had to wait for Pippa to finish her stream. My God, she's getting so popular, and I see so many people that used to be in my chat. Now they are in hers. So it's like, oh shit, audience overlap. She's got like 800 people watching her play GTA. Like, I'm so proud of her. Because like when I found her, when I found her on the street, she used to have 100 people watching. Maybe like 200. Now she's got 800 and she's growing. That's great. So, Netflix Resident Evil got canceled, and I'm going to make a video about it tomorrow. And my opinion is that Netflix lies to people. Lying is part of their marketing strategy now, because there's no fucking way. This is like another one of their very popular shows which gets canceled. So they made articles after articles saying, oh my God, like this show is number one. It's top viewed, better than Squid Games. And I feel like no fucking way is Netflix that promoting Resident Evil and not lying. Like, it's not that good. There's no way. I mean, first of all, it's not in the spirit of Resident Evil. Secondly, it's generic garbage. Thirdly, the main character is despicable. It's unlikable. Like, there is no way that it's that great, right? So, despite that, everyone is like, no, you don't understand. You don't get it, V. It's actually really good. And now it's not getting a season 2? Like, why? If it's that good. And what's interesting is that you got people who are bewildered by this. It's like, oh, but like, why is Netflix canceling it? Because it was good. It was good. No, it wasn't. It wasn't good. No one was fucking watching it, okay? Like, they're lying when it comes to their marketing. Thank you, Coaster Mechanic Mario. I appreciate for the $2. So yeah, no, like there is no other explanation. The Sandman, okay, Sandman might genuinely be good. I do think that Sandman is actually, and I'll tell you why, okay? Like, Sandman was one of those comic books which genuinely appealed to a female audience, right? Like, the same way women read manga is the same way women used to read Sandman. It's that type of comic book that's different than your average superhero. Like, the superhero comics are Lex Luthor robs a bank, Superman comes in, punches Lex Luthor. That's like pretty much the thing with the comic book. It's like the battle between the villain and the hero, right? Most women aren't interested in that. Most women are interested in character development and drama. Sandman offered women that type of story. And it was a very popular comic book with the female audience. So I do believe that Sandman might genuinely be popular because while they race swapped and they did a lot of bullshit that I don't understand, like, for example, John Constantine, they gender swapped John Constantine. Like, why not just go with Zatanna? Like, you could have just gone with Zatanna. It's another DC comic book hero and whatever. Well, the ladies would have liked John Constantine if he was casted properly. But no, like, they went and gender swapped. And they actually said, it's like, to be more inclusive, we're going to chop John Constantine's manhood and make him into a woman. We're going to transform through the magic of Netflix. It's going to include... What the fuck does that mean anyway? Like, what is that? It's like, oh, we're going to make it inclusive. This well-established character, this brand that you know, we're going to transfigure it into something else because we are Americans. Like, imagine, like taking Coca-Cola, the company, and it's like, to be inclusive, Coca-Cola is now going to be named Pepsi. Oh, it's going to mindfuck you, isn't it? Like, what? Why would you say, like, we're going to take Coca-Cola and turn their brand purple for inclusivity. Like, no, you're taking a brand that most people are aware with, and you're changing it for no fucking reason. You're fucking with the customer. It's like me changing the logo on my channel. Like just so you can understand how important brand awareness is. Like DSP, pretty sure you guys know who he is, the streamer, right? DSP used to stream on a couch. And when he moved house, he didn't bring the couch with him. And he noticed like a major drop in subscribers. Because people just wanted that fucking couch. Right? It was part of his shtick. It was part of that. Without the couch, things were never the same. It is the same thing with making sure that, we're going to be inclusive, so we're changing what people know. Yeah, I okay. But my point. So you got that, all right? Like you got the appeal for the female audience, which Sandman is, and then you also have the actor actually understanding what Sandman is supposed to be, because you had the actor which plays Sandman in an interview, and he said, like, you can't make a movie called Sandman, because Sandman is a story about stories. Like, he is the dream keeper. He interacts with other people's storylines, and, he guides people through their dreams and stuff. And if you were to make a movie with Sandman versus Lucifer, like, that would not be what Sandman is about. And he is absolutely right. Like, he is 100% right. I personally do not see what Sandman could offer me as a viewer. Like, there's nothing interesting for me there. There's no sexy ladies on the screen. There's no interesting battles or so I'm tuning out. It's not my style. It's not my thing. But I do think that, yeah, like, Sandman might definitely be popular with a particular type of audience that probably likes 50 Shades of Grey and Twilight and stuff. So, yes. Johanna Constantine is related to him? Yeah, but, like, no, I'm pretty sure you can figure out ways to justify it, right? Because, like, when you're writing stuff, you can definitely justify whatever the fuck you want. You can give Batman cancer, you can give Batman ADHD, right? But the question is, like, why? Okay, why would you do that? So, yeah, sure, it is justified from the lore perspective, but, like, when you have John Constantine, especially after you had a very popular TV show with him, and people know who he is, especially when he is popular with the comic books, especially, like, with all that taking into consideration, why the fuck would you miss the opportunity and you can literally just have him in your show? Why would you do that? It's like, no, we're going to have Johanna Constantine, which is related to him. Why? It doesn't make any business sense to do that. Thoughts on the new season of Better Call Saul? It's the best America has to offer when it comes to TV show audience, to creativity, right? Was a very creative... the thing with Better Call Saul, I was very skeptical about it at first. Because it's like, oh, come on, like another prequel. Like, really? Really? Another prequel? Okay, fine. And I started watching it. And it wasn't Breaking Bad. I mean, it was kind of like, it's kind of interesting, a little bit hilarious. Like, let's see the antics of Saul. But as the seasons move on and the story advances, it becomes more and more and more interesting and more engaging. To the point where by the last season, I definitely think it's better than Breaking Bad. It's far superior to Breaking Bad. Personally, I gotta say, I hope that Saul got away with it. I just like the character, I suppose, and I was rooting for him to actually manage to get away with everything he did. Unfortunately, I see that the writers of Breaking Bad, like, they're the classical American writing style where crime doesn't pay and everyone gets punished in the end. So besides Jesse, like, they punished every single character involved with Walter White's empire. So I was a little bit disappointed to see Jimmy not getting away with it, especially when he actually could. And I see Amakuno in the chat. I actually missed you, bro. Haven't seen you in a long while. Bruce Wayne is bi-curious in the new comic book. Yeah, I mean, like, look, literally, they don't know what else to do. Like, this is the only thing that they know how to create things. I don't know. It's like, okay, let's take this hero and make him bi-curious. Let's make him homosexual. Who the fuck cares? I have manga. Like, you want me to stop reading my manga that I clench to my bosom, that I support diversity. Okay, like nothing supports diversity more than giving money to actual minorities and people of color, which are the Japanese. All right, like the Chad Empire of the Rising Sun. That is where the diversity is at. Why would I give money to people from California? No, California is imperialistic. It is the heart of racist, systemic, sexist, misogynistic United States of A. Right? Like that's what I've been lectured. So why would I give them money? Right? No, I give money to manga. Also, they create good stories. Right? But I'm a true progressive. I'm a real progressive. I genuinely support diversity, right? And inclusion. Do you know how many women write manga? Very popular manga written by women, right? So I support that. And then you have the Americans like, hey, put aside your manga and read our comic book because we made the superhero gay. And I'm like, like I have gay in manga. There's manga with gay characters. Like you're not convincing shit. It's 2022, all right? Like, if this was the 1990s and you were making this, okay, yeah, sure, maybe I would have cared. But it's 2020 fucking 2, nobody cares. Absolutely no one. So, oh yeah, wheelchair Spider-Woman, I made a video about that. Like that, it even looks fucking ridiculous. Like that's the problem. It's not that you can't make superheroes in wheelchairs. Like there are a lot of them. Charles Xavier comes to mind. Oracle, right? Batgirl. Like imagine if Batgirl, right? Like she's a very acrobatic superhero. Imagine if Batgirl, when she got crippled by the Joker, right? She was being shot, and then she's in a wheelchair. Imagine if she still did acrobatics in the wheelchair. It would have looked ridiculous as fuck. Like, I'm sorry, but you can't sell this to the audience. It just looks bad. It doesn't look epic. It doesn't look nice. It just looks like WTF. Right? Like, Batgirl, when she got in the wheelchair, what she did was, like, she was helping Batman by hacking, by planning how they're going to enter a building, by, doing investigation. Right? Like, she was using her mind more. That's how you actually do a sensitive superhero story. But like when you're showing me that you have like this wheelchair-bound Spider-Woman bouncing around with the wheelchair on her back, get the fuck out. If they made Batgirl like the same thing, like have the chair and she would just like zip around use the batarangs and then the grappling hook and shit. Like God, oh my god. There's another superhero in a wheelchair. I think his name is MODOK or something. Like he's got like this big massive brain, right? Like, he's got this huge head, and because of that, like, he can't walk. Let me see if I can find what I'm talking about, like, MODOK Marvel. Yeah. So this one, actually, again, like, you can make superheroes in wheelchairs. Like, that's not the fucking problem. But you gotta make them in a way that it looks like something you can sell to the audience, right? So here you have MODOK, right? Like, he's got, like, this big brain, and because of that, he can't walk. So he's got like this this chair which flies around and shoots missiles and rockets and shit. But it still looks cool. Like don't get me wrong, it's kind of a nice thing, right? It looks epic. You hate MODOK with a passion? Like I don't know if anything about the character, but when I look at him, it doesn't look fucking like ridiculous. I don't know if he's got like telepathic abilities to be like Professor X, but still. All right, let's stop talking about comic books for a bit. I want to address another issue. Right now, there's only 90 people watching. I can share this without causing a hassle. But I gotta say, all right. So my mother, I need to talk to you because I don't have anyone else to talk to. Like most of my relatives are passing away now. So, my mother is in like her late stages of cancer. Like she's pretty much close to the end, right? So she goes to the hospital, and I gotta say, like, my mom has like the best morale ever. I wish I could have her morale when I'm about to pass away, but she's very optimistic. Like, she's not upset. She made peace with everyone. She's very okay with it. So anyway, like, she's got like she's now wheelchair bound. Speaking of wheelchair, right? Like, this is why I can't be against people with wheelchairs, because at any point anyone can actually end up in one. So anyway, right? Like, she's in a wheelchair. She's got all these difficulties. She's in a lot of pain, and she doesn't complain about it. She doesn't get upset with the fact that she can't walk. So they take her to the hospital. Like, literally, like, what bewilders me is, like, she doesn't complain about it, but in the hospital they don't let her smoke. And I guess, like, that was the end of it. So, like, she was brought back home. Like, I am so glad, chat. I am so fucking glad that I don't smoke. Like, I hope you guys don't smoke either, ever. Like, not only does it cost fuckloads of money, but like, to prevent you, like, when you're, I guess when you need to go to the hospital, or when you have to fly on a long airplane flight, or you gotta go on a train, and you are in the impossibility of smoking, and it, like, it's so crippling to the point where, like, no, you need to just, oh my god, I am so glad that I don't feel like smoking. And honestly, like, if you guys ever have children, like, that should be your top priority, right? Like, make sure they don't smoke. Then again, I guess, like, this is a Romanian thing, because if you're in America, like, make sure your kids don't do drugs, like, first. But anyway, right, speaking about my mom, when I talked about it, because I stopped doing my segment with This Week is Stupid. Like, it was very difficult to record long-ass streams. It's very difficult to, keep a smiling face. And if I didn't announce it, then, well, most people would ask me. And at the time, I wasn't ready to accept the reality. I was, like, in the first stage of grief denial. So anyway, right, after I announced it, there were people that contacted me on Twitter that's like, hey, why don't you take this magic elixir? Like, the elixir is going to fix your mother. The elixir being, like, insert whatever fucking bizarre shit. Like, look, I need to explain cancer to people, alright? There's a piece of your own flesh growing inside you, blocking important stuff, okay? Like, it's pressing on the nerves. It's growing into the heart, alright? But it's your flesh. How is the elixir going to get your own flesh to stop fucking growing? Like, what is even more interesting is that apparently the elixir doesn't even take into account, like, different types of cancers, different, like, they don't even need to see imagery, like, they don't know, just take the elixir and it is going to fix mommy. Now, I gotta say, I'm not upset that people did this. Like, because, like, they do it out of compassion, because I don't think they have stocks at the company which makes the elixir. But at the same time, you gotta ask yourself, like, dude, imagine first of all, you don't know the situation, alright? Like, you don't know the diagnostic, you don't know, like, how advanced it is, you don't know, like, jack shit. And you're going to a person that probably made peace with the situation, and you're, like, giving them hope again. Why would you do that, especially with the elixir? Whatever, it is it is what it is. I mean, I don't know if it sounds predatory. I think, like, the people, like, legit wanted to help, right? But it's like, I mean, I even had members from my wife's family, and they're like, oh, you need to take the root from the mountain. Like, take the root from the mountain and mix it with the water from the river. And add the spice of the flower of the lotus and mix them together. Like, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, come on. Thank you for becoming a member, Mildly Innocuous. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's, I mean, the problem with cancer, because I keep hearing, like, all of these things. It's like, oh, they have the cure. The rich people, they have it, but they do not share. And I'm thinking, like, okay, first of all, there are still rich people dying from cancer, right? I mean, was it the what was it, like that American conservative, I think, that even the Democrats cried for him. I forgot his name. Like, didn't he die from a brain tumor? Like, okay, so it's not like, oh, the rich people have. All right. Secondly, the reason it's very difficult to create a cure for it is because it's your own fucking flesh, right? Like, when it's a bacteria, you put a substance which is called an antibiotic, which clears the bacteria but leaves your cells alone. However, in this situation, it's difficult because it's your own fucking flesh that's growing, right? Like that's what it does. It grows and it pushes against your arteries. It creates clogs. It pushes against your nerves. It can paralyze you. It can prevent breathing, like it obstructs the lung airwaves and so on and so forth. Smoking don't happen in Brasov? Of course it does. What are you talking about? Do you plan on doing more Time Messia? No, it was just like a stream where I showed people about the game so they can consider buying it, right? Like that's what I was doing. I don't do Let's Plays anymore because I barely get any viewers on them. And secondly, I mean, I can play it, but I don't see the interest that people have in seeing me do Let's Plays. I think people like more the content where I talk about current events and stuff. What causes the growth and can it be stopped? The growth is caused by a mutation usually in the cells. They become immortal. Like literally, the cancer cells, as long as they keep getting food, like they don't die ever. And they just divide, right? So the way to combat it, like why the way that pills combat it, is that they attack cells with rapid division. And this is why people who are on chemo have their hair falling out, because the hair is also made out of cells with rapid division. There's more types of technology, like they will find the type of gene on the particular cell. And the latest technology that I heard, so you got the antibody, and at the end of the antibody, they load it with a radioactive isotope. And then the antibody is sent, it's kind of like an arrow, and it finds the cell exactly what it is, and then it injects the radioactive isotope in it. I mean, it's an entire field of science. There's no way I can explain it in 40 minutes or how long the stream is. But it's very interesting. What kind of food do the cells take? The same one that your body takes, which is why cancer patients lose a lot of weight, because they actually develop new arteries. It's called neovascularization. So it like has its own arteries that it latches into your own body, and it takes away the resources that's supposed to go to the rest of the body. And this is why, like, one of the main signs of cancer is when a patient drops in weight dramatically. Was trying to make you laugh? I did laugh. Thank you for the $2, Mr. Vrooms. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Oh my fuck God. What does this have to do with talk? Cut the cut. Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway, right. So, with that out of the way, let's see what else we can talk about, because I do have a couple of interesting news. Oh yeah, the student debt thing. My fucking God. Like if you tried selling the student debt shit into Romania, people would be so fucking outraged. Like, people would be absolutely livid about even the concept of, like what do you mean, like, give money to people who are... Okay, so first of all, some of the most arrogant twats that you can imagine are people who finish a university. Alright? I finished 2 universities. I'm telling you this. It's no big deal. And don't give me the shit, oh yeah, but you finished in Europe. Alright? It doesn't matter. Alright? Like, I am willing to bet that what we learned here is the same shit that you guys learned there. I mean, there are Romanian doctors which travel abroad to the United States and they do a good job. Alright? Like, it's not like you guys have reinvented the wheel and you reinvented medicine or some shit. In fact, I am willing to bet doctors from Romania are a lot better trained than doctors from the United States. And I'll give you the reason. In the US, you guys use patients. So you guys use actors instead of patients. Like here, if you come in Romania, you get to see the actual patient. You get to talk to the actual patient. You get to see the actual illness and you learn how to put a diagnosis. And here we also learn how to put a diagnosis cheaply, right? Like without wasting resources. This is another important aspect. So first of all, you're trained to have a clinic sense. It's what it's called, right? So you're supposed to put the diagnosis without any sort of imagery, right? You still do imagery, but most doctors here, just by looking at a patient and touching the patient and talking with the patient, yes, touching, like you actually, check the lymph nodes and shit like that, they will like you will be surprised just how many doctors put diagnosis just by looking and talking with the patient. I had doctors coming from the US as an exchange program, and they were just fucking baffled. Like, they thought that the doctors here are like clones of Jesus. Like, how the fuck do they do it? Like, they use bioenergies or some shit? Like, literally, just by talking with a patient, looking at them, it's like, okay, boom, diagnostic. Like, how the fuck? Right? And then it's like, okay, well, let's do the imagery. And when they do the imagery, it's like, oh, shit. It is that diagnostic. How did you do it, It's kind of like predicting the future for journalists. It's like, yeah. If the government prints money, it's going to be inflation. And the journalists are like, oh, how did they know? Right? So it's kind of like that. Then, when you do the imagery, you start with the imagery that's cheap, right? So you do, like, first you do an ultrasound. You do some blood works, right? And then it directs you towards the actual... No, you go to the United States, it's like, CT, right? Like CAT scan. That's fucking expensive. Like, that should be as a last resort. Why the fuck would you do a CAT? Like, no, someone has a headache, CAT scan. That's like a very expensive thing. Like, you're clogging the machinery. Like, you're going to have a huge queue of patients that just go to like the most expensive shit. Why would you do that? Like, someone has a cough. All right, CAT scan. Like, dude, not CAT scan, computer-generated tomography. It's like, just do an X-ray. Do a fucking X-ray. It's cheaper, all right? Like, put your fucking stethoscope, which God granted to you. Listen to the patient breathing. If you hear that there are sounds, then do a fucking X-ray. Give him some treatment. And if it works, oh my fucking God, you saved the hospital money. Right? If it doesn't work, then do the fucking CAT scan. They're doing that in UAE. They want to do all the diagnostics. That is so fucking cringe. Like, I have seen this. You got a patient going into the hospital, and what Westerners do, every single possible investigation except for a biopsy. That's probably the only one that they spare the patient. But it's like every single thing. He's got a toothache. Oh, let's do an MRI. Let's do I don't know, some genetic testing and shit. Like, I don't know if I did the English translation well. Okay, like I don't know if it's actually called the CAT scan, but it's like, we call it a tomograph here, right? So it's basically this. Right? Like you have a patient with a cough, and they put him in this. And it's like, for the love of God, why? Like, why? This is, like first of all, this is an expensive investigation. Secondly, you require a specialist to actually read it. Like, not every doctor knows how to interpret this shit, so now you have, like, more money going down the drain, right? Then the people who genuinely need this have to wait in a fucking queue, because you got the people who don't need it going in. Same with the PCR test. Right? Like, oh my God, PCR test. It's fucking expensive. So, right, like, doctors here are trained on how to operate properly and cheaply. Right? Like, not making sure that you give the correct diagnostic, but at the same time, you use the least amount of resources possible. Computer-assisted tomography. Yeah, like, dude, if I were to go back to the hospital, and I start sending patients into this shit, the manager would fucking have my balls. Like, you would literally be called to the man. Like, what the fuck are you doing? You'd be like, do you think money grows on trees? Like, are you fucking loco? You think you're in America? Like, stop doing that. The magnetic resonance imagery, that's for soft tissue. So if there's anything that you think might be wrong with the nerves, the intestines, the brain, right? And the tomograph is for bones, so bone structure and stuff. My health insurance isn't interested in paying for PCR tests. Really? You gotta cough. Gallons of blood for lab work. The way it works here, you gotta cough. First of all, they're going to start asking questions, right? Like, since when did it happen? Do you smoke? Does it go away? Is it in the morning? Is it in the afternoon? Right? Like, they're going to start to ask all of this. Is there anything else besides a cough? Do you experience any other symptoms? Right? Like, that's how they start. And then they're going to start to listen to you, right? Like, they're going to, right? And then they're going to figure out, like, is it something that's caused by a pathogen? Like, is it a bacteria? Is it a virus? Or is it because of an allergy? Or is it because the patient is suspicious for, like we suspect that the patient might have cancer? And based on, like, what you figure out, then you go to the cheaper investigations. And if you can't find out, then you go higher and higher. Like, for example, right? Like, a patient might have a cough. And you tell them, like, okay, go take an x-ray. And if the x-ray comes out fine, well, you're not going to think of cancer. You're not going to think, hey, it's probably just, an allergy. And then you send him to do an allergy test. You find out, oh, look, so happens he's fucking allergic to some shit. And then you don't have to do the MRI. Which is, like if you have done the MRI from the beginning and you don't find anything because he's allergic, you just wasted the hospital money. Thank you for becoming a member, Coaster Mechanic Mario. Canada, oh, you have a headache? Try waiting 2 years. Well, yeah, because, like, you clogged the system, right? Like, that's what happens when you send everyone to, like, the most expensive thing. I've had this problem for the last year with my dentist. Had the root canal and it's still sore a year later. 3 CAT scans later and they won't do anything. Well, the problem with dentists is a problem here in Eastern Europe as well. I can't recommend you a single good one. I mean, it is what it is. I for some fucking reason, when it comes to dentistry, it's like the miracle of science. Like, you play Russian roulette with them. Like, sometimes you find a good one, most often not. I don't know what it is, right? Because I didn't learn about dentistry at medicine. I only learned how to piss them off. You say that if you're a dentist, you're not a real doctor, and they get really angry and upset. But, like, my point is that every single time I had to go to a dentist, I was dissatisfied. And I went to like many, just so the best thing is, like, make sure you don't go to a dentist. Like, brush your teeth and floss it. Like, what do you want me to say? Have you heard that Germany is going back to the corona nonsense measures? I don't think the EU nations will follow this. But it is somewhat concerning. I don't know if the German people want to, though, because at the end of the day, it's up to them. We'll see if they actually do go back to them, or it's just like the leftist government just trying to see how the public reacts. Why am I so up early? Because I didn't sleep. I'm going to bed after this. Or no, actually, I have to go to my mom. I gotta see her and try and get her some essential shoppings, and then I'll go to sleep. My dentist is a good bloke and did the scans free of charge, but they won't open it back up or remove the tooth until something shows up on an x-ray. I don't know, man. I hate talking about cases online. Again, like, we are trained to see the patient and to touch the patient. Touching the patient is very fucking important. You can catch a lot of diagnostics by touching them, especially when you look at the lymph nodes, when you... I mean, depending on what the patient complains about. But, like, usually you can diagnose the patient just by talking to them and touching them, and you don't need any additional imagery. The imagery is only done to confirm the diagnostic. Japan never stopped following the corona measures. I had some pain in the general area of my left kidney and went to get it checked. $4,000 CT scan later, and it was inflammation of the abdominal fat tissue. Okay, so if you are in Romania and you have, like, a pain in the general area of your left kidney, they would have done an ultrasound. And the ultrasound would have found that your kidney is fine. Right? So if your kidney is fine, then they think, all right, well, if it's not the kidney, what else could it be? So it's the left area, right? They would be like, okay, well, if the left area maybe is the spleen and the pain radiates, and they would also do the ultrasound for the spleen. Okay, so the spleen is fine. What else can they be? Can it be the bones? And then they probably ruled that out just from the clinical exam. And then they would be like, okay, well, it probably is the fat issue. Right? Like that's how it works. Why the fuck would they send you to a $4,000 CT scan, right? Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. And then the Americans are complaining, oh my god, like, the healthcare is so expensive. It's so fucking... Well, yeah, no shit. Hello, Dwarf Attempt. Yeah, you can also feel the swelling. I mean, look, if you have what you said, right? You got inflammation of the abdominal fat, right? Like, when the doctor touches you and squeezes that part, you're going to say, oh, it hurts. Oh. Like, okay, well, if it hurts, then probably the area is inflamed, right? So they have some anti-inflammatories. Go home, relax, go to bed. A lot of people are telling me to have a good morning. I appreciate that. Right, so I am too one of those options. I forgot where the conversation left from. Oh yeah, paying student debt. So my point was, you got all of these really arrogant people which finished a university, and most of the time, and it's like, oh, it's so hard. Education is so... No, it's fucking not. Okay, like you shouldn't like brag. Oh my god, I went and I finished a university. Oh, I'm so smart. All right, congratulations. You know how to memorize and repeat things. That's not being smart. All right, like you're smart when you do a PhD. But anyway, the fact that the working class have to now pay for these people is obnoxious. Like, here in Romania, if it were to happen, everyone would have been outraged. Here's the system we have in Romania, by the way. This is an actually really good system. You have public education, but you need to get good grades. So if you want to get in, you need to get a passing grade to get to a university, which is very difficult to get, right? And then if you have financial problems, then you get help from the state. Or if you have like really great grades, like you got amazing grades, then you get free education because the state is encouraging people to study hard. And then when you are in the actual university, you need to have good grades consistently. So you need to consistently get good grades in order to qualify to have the quote-unquote free education. And this whole idea, it's like, oh, education is a human right. Like, I can tell you how you can tell a leftist that a human right is not a right. Because they would consider, like, everything they want is a human right. Everything they don't want should be banned, right? So, if two people are on an island, is their human right of a free education being violated? And if yes, by whom? Right? Like, no, imagine this, right? Like, you survive a plane crash. And you're on an island with another person. You don't get a home. Is your human right for housing being violated by whom? You don't get free education. Who's violating your right for a free education? Now, if the other person kills you, and you're like, well, your human right of living has been killed, who violated? Well, the other person, right? So it has an answer. Like, if you ask, like, who violated your human right, and the answer is, I don't know, then maybe it's not a human right to begin with. Right? Like, if you aren't allowed to travel because the other person locks you in a cage, who violated your right? The other person. Good to see you live. I never get to see your live streams being in Australia, Leon. Oh, how is there in the prison island? It's more than half graduate degrees. Oh, fucking hell. The other problem is supply and demand, right? Like, initially, and this I think happened after World War II, what people notice is that universities would train people how to be the elites of society, right? So you'd have many rich people that didn't need money because they were from already wealthy families that wanted to become lawyers and surgeons and whatever, you know, like they were doing this not necessarily to make money, but they were doing this for reputational purposes, right? So the universities that they went through, they would teach you how to actually be a great surgeon or a great lawyer, and they would also train you how to be an elite, right? Like, they would also train you in things like dancing and how to behave in society. So all of the people after winning the war, they looked at it and it's like, well, I want my kid to go there. I want my kid to go to a prestigious university. So now everyone is pushing their kids to go to these universities. Now, the mentality is that you need to go to a university to avoid doing the lower menial jobs. That's their mentality. That's how they rationalize. Now, even the important universities that actually teach you something, like for example, a veterinarian school, right? It's a useful skill. The problem is, what are you going to do with it? Like, oh, you're going to open a veterinarian clinic. How many veterinarian clinics aren't there opened already? Like, on every single block, on every single street, I see another vet clinic. When you open a vet clinic, you're hurting all the other veterinarians because you're already taking from the shortage of customers that there are. So, my point is that everyone is doing now the university jobs, and there is a huge shortage of the lower jobs. There's a shortage of truck drivers, there's a shortage of plumbers, there's a shortage of builders, there's a shortage of electricians. So you have truck drivers which are making $6,000 a month, $6,000 a week in California now. For many reasons, I would have to go into details to explain all the causes for this, but at least at the beginning of the year, from what I spoke with other truck drivers, $6,000 a week, right? Meanwhile, people with a degree, oh, they can't do shit with it. Oh, they put it in a drawer, and they're like, oh, okay, help me, truck driver. Help me, because I'm smarter than you, and I'm more intelligent, but, like, I can't pay my fucking debt. My body, my choice, but you're going to fucking pay for my debt and my poor decisions. So, with that out of the fucking way, you got all of these problems. And another great example is Klaus Schwab School for Young People. I think that's how it's called, right? Like, Klaus Schwab is very proud of it because there's a lot of people that went to that school now infiltrated the world cabinets and right? Like, everyone that from that school ended up being a leader in a European nation, or they ended up becoming a CEO or an important activist or whatever the fuck, right? But the point is, like, everyone that went to, like, the Klaus Schwab School for Young Leaders, I forgot the exact name, but everyone that went to that school ended up being an elite, right? Now imagine that for the government would make it a human right for everyone to go to Klaus Schwab school. Like, every single person has to go to Klaus Schwab school. Do you honestly think that if every person would go there, every person would become an elite? No, because there is a finite number of elites in a nation. Like, you can't have a nation that has 1 million politicians. That doesn't fucking exist. You can't have a nation that has, like, 10 million CEOs. So what's going to happen is you're going to water it down because supply and demand exists. And when you cause it, like, it's a human right to get educated. And by the way, like, when you talk about education, sure, everyone should learn how to read and write. Every person should learn how to do basic mathematics. Like, that's a basic education. What the fuck does everyone need to have a university for? That's not an education. I mean, it takes, what is it? Back in medieval time, when you are 7 years old, you already started working on the fucking field with your daddy. I mean, obviously you weren't going to do the hard jobs, but at 7-year-old, people in the rural area already started working. Like, they have to go and feed the chickens, they have to go and clean the stable, they have to help mommy around the house, they have to raise their little brothers, right? Like, at 7 years old, the kid is already starting to become a young adult, right? Now, you need to be at least fucking 25. You need to at least be 25 years before considering getting a proper job, right? Because you need to finish high school, you need to finish university, you need, fuck off, and then you need years of training. In my way to pay for a plumbing diploma, but I don't actually want to do any of that. I just wasted too much time to realize I wanted to draw manga. And look, that can happen. Like, look at my case. I wanted to be a lawyer. I go to med school, I finish it, can't find the job, then I go to med school, I finish it, I do find the job, but it's shittily paid, and now I do YouTube. Like, that can happen, that's fine. And I don't think you wasted it, because at any point you can just go back to plumbing if things are hard. Like, there will never be a time when people don't need plumbers. I mean, plumbing is probably one of the best professions that you can have. First of all, at least in many countries, you don't need a license to plumb. I mean, that's good, right? And secondly, it is something that you can travel abroad. Like if things go bad, like let's say you're in New York City and you want to leave New York City, you go to Florida. Guess what? Florida needs plumbers as well. So it's a really great job. I don't think you wasted your time doing that. Um, Medical lawyer YouTuber. Yeah, it is what it is. You know, it's. I don't think like I wasted time with my universities because again, like you get access to certain knowledge and you make specific connections, so it's actually a good thing. Ah, dear me. Isn't it funny although like the more educated you go the more dumb you become, like I actually spoke with Bob BQ. He is a friend of mine, came on the channel before. He deals with payment processors and video game development, and he explained to me that there are two types of people that know how to code. There's the type of people that know how to code from the benches of the university, and then there's the type of people that know how to code because either they taught themselves or they went to some yeah, they went to some boot camp, right? And the ones that come from the university, apparently, like they need to be handheld at every single fucking point. Like they need to be told exactly what to do. Like they just follow orders. They're like fucking soldiers. They're like fucking soldiers. And then you have the people that teach themselves and they figure out the problems. Like they know how to figure out what's wrong with this with something and how to fix it. And it's like, you know, in some jobs, like being a soldier might be a good thing. But when you talk about coding, where it's a job about creativity, it's absolute shit. And I'm curious, like, if in other universities is the same, like at art school, for example. Like, art school is supposed to be the heaven of creativity. Does pest control make good money? I mean, I don't know. Like, pest control is actually a little bit more complicated because, I mean, if you want to start your own business, you need a gajillion licenses to have access to the chemicals. Probably a lot of money involved. You're probably damaging your health as well. So I would, I mean, yeah, sure. If you do know how to make pest control properly and you master the craft, you can make money, but like your health is at risk. And I don't know if you can say it's a job that brings satisfaction. Right? Like being a plumber and knowing that you fix the pipe and you look at it, but maybe it brings you more satisfaction than knowing you killed that little cute mouse, you know? This is why Ascendance of a Bookworm is one of the best isekai. The kids are out foraging in the forest, and they gather deadwood. I kind of like the isekai Ascendance of a Bookworm because they benefit from the knowledge they had in the previous world when they transitioned to the other world. But basically, you know, like any type of job that is essential for a society, like any job that a society can't run without, is a good job. So, you know, a gender studies major. A society can run just fine without a gender study major. You know, even a lawyer, like a society, surprisingly, can run without lawyers. Like, people can defend themselves, right? A society can't run without builders. It can't run without plumbers. I think it can even run without people that are into pest control. But it can't run without carpenters. So, you know, like the bare essentials. Like, these are always going to guarantee that you get a job. The thing with pest control, like, let's say you have your company and then the government bans some chemicals that you know how to work with. Well, now you're kind of fucked, aren't you? About coding, what university teaches and what boot camps and self-taught people learn are very different things. Honestly, most CS courses are useless for the purpose of working as a programmer. The problem with universities is that they want to... Like, you have teachers that teach completely useless shit, but they still want to get paid. So, Universities, especially when they want more money from students, like they will hire more of these useless teachers. Like, for example, at med school, I learned English. Why the fuck do I need to learn English at med school? Can anyone explain to me, like, why can't I learn it in my own free time? Why is there a professor at med school paid from my fucking money to teach me English? Why? Why do I pay for that twat? Why is that twat fucking there? You know, because that's the thing that a lot of people ask. It's like, oh, well, of course you need English. Yes, I do need English. I can learn it by fucking self. I do not need the university to hire a twat to teach me. There was another professor that taught me how to use a computer. Why is that twat paid out of my own fucking money? I don't need that. You know, a physical education teacher. I got university in first year. Oh, well, of course, like if you're a doctor, healthy minded, healthy body, shut the fuck up. Okay, just shut the fuck up. 1 year of physical education out of 6 years of med school is that jack shit. It's just so that people can wake up in the morning, be grouchy, and then and by the way, like usually the useless teacher, the one that everyone fucking hates, oh, that's the most strict one. That's like, oh, well, if you don't run properly within 10 seconds, you're going to fail. And I'm thinking like, look, there is no reason why that guy should have a salary from my money. All right, like there's no fucking reason. So that is why you have like such cumbersome universities that have like 6 years. You can do medicine in 4 years. 4 fucking years you can do it. Why? Because you just prune out and you weed out the useless subjects. Hello V, I spend most of my time working in the plumbing industry. Not only did I learn all about copper elbow sizes and lengths of DWV and slotted storm weather pipes, made a lot of friends and know how to change the system. I will tell you this. The people that work as plumbers and renovators and shit, they have so many connections, it's not even fucking funny. Like, I at least looked at the people that I know. All of the plumbers have children that I know they're going to grow up rich. Because like they use all their connections to get their children through the back door. At least here in Eastern Europe, right? Like, let's say you have a child which, I don't know, like, wants to be a lawyer, right? They will find a lawyer that will give, that will take the kid under their wing. They will find like, oh, so this lawyer has a business. Hey, you know, I did your plumbing. Hey, can you take my kid to your business? You know, can you show him the ropes? Like, it is so fucking useful. In case I want to be a paramedic, Jesus fucking Christ, one of the most difficult medical professions there are. How can you read The Science from the Wall Street Journal if you're not university educated in English? I don't fucking know, man. I don't know, like, unless you... Because, you know, there's 2 types of people. There's the people that know English, and there's the people that are educated in English from a university, and those are the only ones that matter. It's not like Romanian plumbers being sneaky, but think about this, right? Like, think about it, your kid wants a job. How does he go on doing it? Oh, he posts his thing on LinkedIn. Okay. What about you actually know people in the field because you went into their house and you spoke with them, and then you can call them up, especially like if you're a plumber and you do a good job and you're prompt, like whenever the person needs you, you're there and you actually fix their problem, they will owe you one, okay? Because they will like you as their plumber. And then you can actually phone them, you can call them and you're like, hey, you know, I got this problem. You know, my kid is looking for a job. Are you hiring? True story. I went with my friend to the Philippines and installed a shower and fixed the toilet because his wife's bathroom sucked. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, like, if you call that same person with an ask, they will be like, yeah, sure. Why the fuck not? I did your plumbing. I don't fucking know how to do plumbing, man. Like, if there's a pipe leaking in my house, I panic. Like, I genuinely don't know how. Like, anything regarding plumbing is magic to me. I live in the UK and the cost of energy, etc. is going to kill us off. I heard that it's like £2,000 to £4,000 to heat a house in the UK right now. And it's like, what? It's August? It's September. Holy shit. I just don't know what Europe is going to do. And it's kind of funny because they keep blaming it on Russia. Like, first of all, that's not true. I don't think like the UK was getting 50% of its gas from the Russians. Right? Like, I genuinely don't think that. Secondly, Why, if that's the case, like let's say that the UK was getting 50% of its gas from Russia, why the fuck was it getting it from Russia? Why? Like, why did your leaders rely on Russia when you're in NATO? Like, it makes no sense. Like, Trump actually laughed at the Germans for it. No, it's the environmentalists, by the way. Am I in the future? Oh my god, see? I told you guys it's good clickbait. I'm in Germany and winter is going to be fun here. Yeah, like, I see a lot of Western leaders that enjoy making their people suffer in the frost, but at least it's like you're going to suffering from the cold with a smiley face. Russia is the boogeyman. Well, the case of Germany, yes. Like, the case of Germany, they actually did get their gas from Russia. But unfortunately, just like Trump warned them, the gravy train ran out. So now you're going to... Like, this is what pisses me off. We won the Cold War. I mean, not we. You guys, because I was part of the country that lost. You won the Cold War. Like, literally, you won the Cold War. Meaning that when the economies were separate, and the West did its thing, and the East did its thing, the East lost, okay? Like, the Soviet Union fucking collapsed, right? Like, the West managed to do without gas from Russia. There was no trade between the East and the West. I mean, there was some, but it was very difficult. Like, when Coca-Cola actually traded with the Russians, they had to give them a navy. Or was it Pepsi? I forgot. I think it was Pepsi. They had to give them a navy so that Pepsi could sell it for dollars in the US. Because, like, they couldn't just get it. Like, rubles were worthless. You couldn't do shit with them, right? So, the West has the capability of existing without Russia. However, because of environmentalism, because of self-inflicted problems, we are where we are. We get very little from Russia. It's the wholesale cost and lack of investment in infrastructure. Like, it's not just one thing. It's several things. But yes, when you push environmentalism to the way it's being pushed now, then companies, like, for example, let's say an oil company, right? They're not going to build another refinery because they're going to look at it and there's going to be, well, it's not a good investment, right? Like, we're not going to make another refinery. Let's make some solar panels or some shit, right? So now, even if you do have gas, you don't have enough refineries to keep up with the demand. So the prices go boop, 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 boop. But you're not going to hear that on television because that's actually economics. Putin is as powerful as Thanos. He just woke up one day, snapped his finger, and caused the global inflation and energy crisis. Yeah, pretty much. Fucking hell. It's just... The fact that people believe this, like, they look at television, oh, yeah. Like, how the fuck does Putin cause... Like, it even went to the argument that Putin caused inflation. I'm like, how? How the fuck? Did he go into Washington and started banging at the door of the Fed and convince them to print more money? How? There's no fucking way. I actually argued with the leftists today, and like, they don't understand economics. Not all, hashtag, but like some of them. They're like, oh, the corporations caused inflation. And how the fuck can the corporations cause inflation? How? And why did they cause it now? Why couldn't they cause it 5 years earlier, huh? Oh my god, it's just... evil corporations. Causing inflation. Okay. Corporations raise prices. Because, like, why? Why do they do that? You know, because they're like, oh no, the prices are raised in a capitalist system. Like the corporations raise prices, and I'm thinking, like, you do, like technically you are correct. Like, technically any company can put whatever price they want, but it's usually dependent on market forces. It's not really that fucking simple, and it's so difficult to explain to someone on Twitter. Not that they want to care about it. It's like, you know, like you got a PlayStation. I mean, sure, you can sell it for $5 million if you want. No one's going to fucking buy it. Like, if you want to sell a PlayStation, you can't sell it for the price you want. You gotta look to see how much other PlayStations sell for. You got this thing in MMOs, right? Like, it's World of Warcraft, and you want to sell a health potion. How do you know for how much to sell it, right? Like, no, seriously, like, think about this. You're playing World of Warcraft, right? You got your alchemy job or whatever, and you buy some herbs, and you make a potion. How do you know how to sell it for? Because you got no fucking idea, right? It depends from server to server. How do you look at what other people ask for? And it's like, okay, well, they're asking 15 gold. So now you have two choices. You can ask 16 gold and just wait, hoping that someone will buy it. Or if you want cash right away, you can ask for 14. Or if you want to play safe, you ask for 15 as well. But like, you're not setting the price. I mean, you have a little bit of wiggle room, sure, but you can't ask for 35 gold. If you ask for 35 gold, no one's going to fucking buy it. Just, God. And of course, like if you absolutely no idea, like let's say you've got no clue and you don't have access to that info, then look how much the material of the herbs cost. Ask yourself how difficult it was to get to that position of making the health potion, and how many other people you think also have that position. And then look at the materials at that price, and that's probably how much it sells. If it sells right away, then next time you sell one, you can increase the price. If it doesn't sell, decrease it. Fucking hell, but like, you're not setting the price. It is so bewildering and bizarre to talk to leftists that are like so convinced that they're right on fucking Twitter. It's almost like they're prophets, like they're experts at this shit, right? They say the most bizarre stuff that leaves you jaw dropped, and you're upset that there's only so little words that you can explain on Twitter. So, and then you realize, hold on, even if I tell them, they still don't understand. They still think the United States is a capitalist country. It's fucking not. The US itself calls itself a mixed economy. I don't think we even have capitalist country today in our age. Like, no country on earth probably calls itself capitalist. I'm willing to change my mind. If there is a single government that calls itself, yeah, we're a capitalist country, I will change my mind. I don't think there is. You have socialist nations, you have communist nations, and you have mixed economies. There is no capitalist nation on earth, period. If World of Warcraft was an FDA, I would make sure to install my people into regulatory positions and have them strike down cheaper alternatives to my potion. There were people that did this shit, man. Usually, like what you could do is, I mean, there are ways of gaming the market and stuff. People botting and selling cheap potions, but like mostly you could have had people buying the cheap potions, and before the raids, like usually most guilds started raiding at around 9 p.m. So people would wake up early in the morning, they would buy all the cheap potions, and then they would flip them and sell them more expensive. I want to make Portugal an actual capitalist country. I mean, there might be some capitalist countries out there. It's just that I don't know of any. You would have to have the smallest, to the point of non-existent, government interference. The scariest part is that these people can vote, yes. Absolutely. I mean, look at this, the concept of abolishing student debt. Okay, so you abolish student debt, and now you have inflation. So now, like most people don't understand, inflation is just another form of tax. That's what it is. And you're incentivizing more people to go to universities, and it waters down your diploma, right? Like, your diploma is as valuable as it is for people finding difficulty in hiring people like you, if that makes any sense, right? Like, what makes a profession valuable versus one that doesn't? How replaceable you are. Literally, that's it. Like that, because a lot of people go like, why is a talk show host or a football player earning more than a nurse? Because replacing a nurse is a lot more easier than replacing a football player. Well, I mean, first of all, like, not all football players make a lot of money. But I assume they talk about, like, Messi and Ronaldo and that type of shit. Replacing Messi is next to impossible, right? Replacing a nurse is a lot easier. That's literally how it is, right? So now when you are a student and you want, like, I want education to be a human right, you're literally devaluing yourself. Like, you're literally saying, like, what you want is for everyone to be like you, at which point you're not needed anymore. Kind of like, when everyone is super, no one is super. That's literally what it means. So anyway, right. Coconut tackle. You're at the end of the stream. Sorry. It is what it is. We gotta end it here. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Or probably tonight. I have no idea. We'll see. But anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for the donations. I really appreciate it. And I hope you guys had an amazing time and you enjoyed yourselves. And we'll see each other later. Take care.